Welcome to another edition of the Unsanctioned Podcast. I'm Luis Vasquez.
This is Jae Holland.
And this is an episode that will not disappoint. This guest we have today is someone who warned us everything is on the table.
Yes, he said anything goes. Hashtag anything goes. Hashtag Unsanctioned Podcast. Julio Jeune is here. He's on time for this one.
He is.
He's on time.
He is.
You already know, like Julio only runs
it.
He only comes in for on time for the important ones. Not saying Thrasher wasn't important, but you know, this guy is near and dear to our hearts. This next guest.
Only on time when it matters.
Julio Jeune, everybody.
He said he's never late. He's always on time.
Unsanctioned Podcast.
You already know, Unsanctioned Podcast. We're now sanctioned over your airwaves. Let's get it.
Right.
We hope you have the recollection, talking to you, listenership, of whose entrance music that is. Oh, you know, they probably saw the title for this anyway on fightboothpw.com. Shout out to them.
You already know.
Fight booth.
But today's episode features none other than, tell him, Jay,
Mr. Ahmed Johnson.
Pearl
man.
River Powerhouse.
Yeah.
the powerhouse, the legend, the myth himself. I feel like anyone who comes on to the Unsanctioned Podcast is automatically
He's legendary. Ahmed
He's
is
legendary. He's legendary.
Ahmed's legendary.
the
man.
supposed to be former WWE champion.
Hey, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that.
We're going to get into that real soon.
Listen.
Will. And without further ado, let's just do this. Let's welcome in one of the greatest to step into a WWE/F ring.
Hold on.
The man himself.
Hold on. You can't just do that.
What are we gonna do?
We got to run down credentials here.
Run down the credentials.
I
Jay.
mean,
but you might put him to sleep right now.
Nah. The
So-
man body slammed. The man body slammed Yokozuna. Not
Well, we
once.
were gonna get into that. You
not
giving it
once.
all away in the beginning, bro.
You
Come
do
on.
this before, man.
Oh, this guy.
Look,
Jae Holland, everybody.
look. I'm telling y'all.
Okay.
I used to run around the house, scissor kicking my little brother, yelling at the
Right.
top of my lungs.
Right.
And I'm taking shoes up. You know, your mom's got good accuracy when she's mad. I'm taking shoes upside the head because I thought I was Ahmed Johnson, man.
Yeah, I think I got a few of those.
Welcome, Ahmed. How you doing, my man?
It's good, man. How'd you?
Good. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Again, I'm Luis.
No problem.
Joined by Jay. Joined by Julio Jeune over here. And man, it's a huge honor to have you, especially.
Humongous honor.
You know, we were very young and able to take in a lot of your glory, a lot of the stuff you were doing back then with some big names, and you obviously are up there. We were talking a little bit right now, you and Jay, actually, about today's product. Do you watch?
No, man, I don't. I've tried watching it, man. It's just too soap operish, man. It's got boring.
Yeah.
There's no more tough. There's no more tough guys in there. I mean, Brock Lesnar. I mean, that's the only guy that got with a little toughness behind him.
If Brock Lesnar is having a match at a pay-per-view, is that something that you say, oh, I got to see that? That's Brock. I support him.
No.
Or you're like, I'm
No.
good. I don't watch it all.
He said, nah.
Okay, so I was trying to get some kind of indicator as to how little or how much you do watch, and that's okay if you
Little
don't. That's
dog,
okay.
very, very little. If I have to turn the TV in the zone, I might stop and watch the matches.
You know what? I agree with you, Mr. Johnson. You know, when you were on screen and back in your era, it kind of oozed the toughness. It kind of oozed the automatic chemistry between you and whoever your opponent was that, as a young viewer, you wanted to watch. You know it was going to be a hard-hitting match. There was going to be a lot of talking. It was going to be straight wrestling. Nowadays, there's a whole lot of talking and very little wrestling, and I think that's something that's, watered down the product.
Cause if I was in that ring now, well, they'd be crying tears. I'm telling you. But I ain't gonna lie, I was a shooter.
You
I was
did.
a shooter back then. I ain't gonna even fake it like I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't, literally trying, to hurt nobody. But if you hit me with a hard blow, I was going to deliver it back.
You know what? You say that. You say you were a shooter and a hard hitter. And I was watching a match of yours a couple of weeks ago where I thought you kind of were shooting on the guy. I kind of thought something might have happened in the match. It was you versus Goldust. And near the end of the match, I saw you throwing these haymaker blows. And all of a sudden, I saw Goldust not throwing anything. It was the king of the ring. He was the king of the
he's
ring
laughing.
for the Intercontinental Championship. Talk to us a
Let
little
me
bit.
tell you what happened on that, man.
Okay, let's hear it.
I love Goldust. Goldust is he's a good ass. I mean, one of the best workers there is. But what happened was I told him not to be kissing me and stuff. For real, we had rehearsed it to where he was supposed to put his hand over my mouth
Right.
and kiss his hand because it was live TV. So I couldn't move if he did or whatever he did. And we rehearsed it and he said he would. And he didn't do it. He kissed me for real. And I was like, that was blow up time.
Now, I remember, like, in all your promos, like, your promos look so serious because of your eyes. Like, your eyes would get kind of bloodshot. Like, you was like, yeah, I mean what I say. I mean what I say. I do as I say. And so I remember the first time Goldust had gave you quote unquote CPR, and I'm not sure if the camera's supposed to be rolling, but you was tearing everything up backstage. Now was that rehearsed or was that just authentic? You went off?
No, it's just the cameraman was following me because he did. Once again, that was the first time he pulled that. We rehearsed it. I said, put your hand over my mouth and kiss your hand. The cameras can't see. They can't catch that. And I'll be damned if he didn't do exactly what I said not to do. And I was so pissed.
Talk to us about how does Vince McMahon approach you with that type of angle? I just can't see anybody walking up to you and being like, you know what, Ahmed, you know what we're going to do tonight? We're going to have Goldust come out and take liberties with you and pretend like he's going to kiss you. Because I feel like you would break the table in half and, probably break the person's neck in half that was telling you that.
Because he felt he could do that and get away because we were cool. And we still, we still are cool. I mean, Goldust is a good dude, but sometimes the jokes go too far. Now, to me, that's something that ain't I don't even see that as a joke, man. I mean, damn. You want to kiss a brother, man? What's up with that?
That's not, that's a little different.
Now, for those people who don't know, let's just bring it back and reel it in. Can you just tell them how you got started with your wrestling career and, how you worked your way, basically to becoming a huge name within the largest market at that point in time, which still is the WWE?
Well, I started, but me and Stevie Ray and Booker T all started together. We all started together, and I wasn't, really into it at first. I was in, the football, and Stevie wanted, he wanted to go train. So I said, okay, well, I'll go to the school with you and train with you. So I went to the school with him with Ivan Putski, and we started training with Ivan Putski and Tully Blanchard.
Oh, man.
And that's how we got started in the business. But then they got a call from WCW, and I got a call from the WWF. So we had to, split up and go our separate ways at that point.
How was your introduction into the WWF?
What do you mean?
Like, first starting off, because I know, I've seen various reports and interviews, and, sometimes certain interviewers will switch it around and be like, well, this person said this and it meant otherwise. So we want to hear from your mouth. Like, I've heard that you've once heard from a WWE legend, like, hey, you're about to go into one of the most racist organizations ever.
Yes. I got that from, it was funny because they sent me to talk to Ernie Ladd. WWF did. I guess they thought that he was going to say good things about them. And Ernie Ladd was the first one to tell me. And he said, you're about to go into the most racist organization there is out there. Wow. I was like, what? I mean, you got to be kidding me. Especially this man, because, they sent me here to talk to you. And I guess he thought they were going to hype him up,
Yeah.
And he told me straight up, bro, what time it was before I got in there. And at first, I got to be honest, at first I didn't see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then later on, it starts slowly coming to light and slowly revealing itself.
And at what point did you realize, like, oh, shit, I think I'm being discriminated against? Oh, this is feeling a little funky right now. Do you remember that point?
Well, it wasn't with me. I mean, I'm going to just be straight up. They treated me pretty fair up to a point until I started voicing for other people. Like Flash Funk, I think, was the first one that I voiced it for because he was dating this white girl. And Briscoe told Flash Funk that Vince said that he didn't want to see him with that white girl at our matches anymore.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do you think that was a cop-out for him, or that really came from Vince?
No, I think that really came from Vince.
I think if you look at how sometimes WWE plays out, like they try to separate real life couples. Like if you look at currently with Rusev and Lana, you know, they tried to separate them until they broke kayfabe and announced they were actually engaged. So I mean, I think that's kind of like parts of those are believable, and I mean that's just crazy.
Nah, we've all heard.
So they said they were gay?
No. So one of the guys, Rusev and Lana. Lana is, I mean, what they call the Ravison Russian. She was his manager for a point in time, and then they made her become a wrestler. But you know, they did angles where they kind of tried to separate the two and make it seem like they were going their own separate way. But in real life, they were a couple. And so what happened was they announced that they were actually engaged, which kind of threw a wrench in what WWE had planned for them long term. And they took them off TV for a while and stuff like that. And, like, you always hear stories about how Vince, in his mind, if he doesn't think two people should be together, he'll do certain things like separate them and put them on different tours.
I definitely believe it. You know, we're talking about, you know, race in wrestling. You know, one of the biggest stories I've heard of your career, Mr. Johnson, was that at a point in time, I think it was late 1996, maybe early 1997, you were supposed to beat The Undertaker and became the first African-American WWE champion. And still to this day, we've never seen an African-American WWE champion. Kind of talk to us about how it felt when you thought you were going to become that first champion, and to see it now, over some 20 years later, we still haven't had a champion. How it makes you feel as a former wrestler and a former name in the WWE.
Well, at first it really didn't faze me because it was a big step, but I didn't realize how big the step was because I didn't realize that how racist they were. And then when I found out, it was like I appreciate it, but there should have been a whole lot of black champions before me.
So I heard about how, with one being Bobo Brazil, he had beat the original Nature Boy. And it was basically the original Nature Boy couldn't continue. And Bobo Brazil didn't accept the title. And like WWE doesn't recognize him as a WWE champ. But yet in some of their countdown videos, they kind of reference it. You know what I mean? And then you also look at, Mark Henry, who was, the world heavyweight champion. But that's not technically the WWE heavyweight championship. And so, like, it just makes me wonder, and we talked about this on one of our older edition of a podcast with MVP, about just black heavyweight champions carrying the signature WWE heavyweight title. And I understand you said it really didn't faze you at first, but, with you becoming the first black WWE Intercontinental champion, like, how much prestige and honor did that go with you? And did you really know it at that time that you was becoming the first black WWE Intercontinental champion?
No, I didn't know because what they did, they got us in the ring and they didn't tell us who's going to win or lose. They wanted to see how the match went. So, like, right at the end of the match, the referee whispered to me and said, go over. Vince wants you to go over. And so I went over and boom, then you got that big crowd pop and I became the first black single champion in history. And it was cool until I went out into my car and somebody had scratched, "Congratulations, nigger," in my car.
Wow.
Now, do you think that was one of the boys that did that? Or do you think that was like a fan?
Yeah, it was definitely one of the boys. Because where we parked at, nobody can get to our cars but the boys.
And over the years, did you ever grow any suspicion as to who it could have been?
Oh, yeah. Well, I investigated it, man. And somebody said they seen Steve Austin back there. Somebody said they seen Sean back there, by the car. So I couldn't, put my finger on it.
You say Shawn Michaels. I know back then, he kind of was, one of the biggest act and kind of the biggest personality backstage. But also during that time, I think there was a time when it was a Survivor Series type style match where it was going to be you, Shawn Michaels, and the Ultimate Warrior against some foes, showing that you were in that light as one of their biggest baby faces. Kind of talk to us about what it was like backstage, being one of the top names, having to interact with Shawn Michaels in the Clique.
It was cool, man, dog. I just, I had done so much in life already. From the military, I graduated most distinguished undergraduate in the military, and that was I'm the first black to graduate from Fort Sill, Oklahoma, most distinguished undergraduate. So I already had, did a few movies and stuff, so I had already seen what the highlight was all about. It was nice being one of the head guys, but I didn't get the big head like Sean and them did, where I think my shit didn't stink, and I'm walking around like, hey, I'm the man, and, if you want to move up in this company, you kiss my ass. And I didn't do that. I was a loner, man. I usually stuck by myself.
So which leads me to just another question, man. How was it working with the Ultimate Warrior? There's a lot of different accounts of different superstars who were back then with him, and some positive, a lot more negative. But how was it working with him from your perspective?
Warrior was cool. I don't. There's a lot of rumors about him being an ass or whatever. And dog, I feel like this. I can only judge you by the way you treat me. And he was cool as I don't know what with me, man. So. I don't know what the other guys are talking about, him being an asshole, because he wasn't an asshole with me. Maybe he knew that I would have stomped his ass, but I don't know.
You talked about kind of being a loner over there, which is surprising to me, given there were some other minorities working over with the WWE at the time.
Very few.
And well, there were some, like I just said, some. And we usually tend to stick together. We kind of all gravitate towards one another. Let me bring up one name, The Rock. How was that relationship? Because I also, just like Julio did, I pulled up a few matches, and I also have some recollections. And those matches were pretty stiff, too. You and The Rock, and I know there's some history there. Please, if you could talk to me a little bit about that relationship.
I'm just going to stay quiet here because...
Go for it, Ahmed.
It was explosive. I'm going to kick my feet up on this one.
Because The Rock, he's the biggest thing.
I'm going to be honest about you. You might be a Rock fan or not, but the thing about The Rock is The Rock was whiter than the white boys.
Starting off with the bang.
He was whiter than the white boys.
Both legs are up. I'm reclining now.
Go for it. You got the stage.
The thing about him was, he was already in Vincent's pocket because his dad and him and his granddad, all of them had wrestled for him. But he was, he would turn his back on the brothers in a minute. So, I didn't really have dealing with. He came to my house one day when we were wrestling in Houston. I invited him over, and he came to my house, and we all had dinner and stuff like that. And then I just started noticing. The more I noticed him, the whiter he started looking.
Sammy Sosa? He went Sammy Sosa? This guy lighter?
Yeah, he beat Sammy Sosa.
Oh, man.
He used so much bleach. That nigga looked like
did he
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Can you ever say that he did you wrong?
Did he do me wrong?
Yeah.
He didn't get a chance to do me wrong. I didn't deal with it.
Now, there is, these are always rumors, and here we like to clear up rumors, whether they're fake or false, that you and him had gotten into a backstage scuffle. Basically, he had mentioned some stuff that didn't sit too well with you about the boys in the locker room.
Yeah, we got into a little scuffle once in the locker room. I forgot all about that.
Take us through
really, what happened was he was back in the locker room, and I was already back there on the other side of the locker, so he couldn't see me. And he walked in there with Triple H and Sean, and then they was all talking. And they was making black jokes. And they didn't know I was there.
The Rock was making black jokes?
Yeah, but check it out. What he said.
On, man.
When Triple H said, man, we just joking, Rock. We just joking. And Rock said, well, that's okay. Is that, people look at me and think I'm black. He said, I'm not black, man. He said, my mom had an affair. He said, my mom had an affair with my dad when I was younger with a white man. And he said, and that's my dad, which is the white guy. It's my dad.
How
Which
serious
is
did
a
he
big
look?
ass lie.
Did he look serious?
Man, he was serious as a heart attack. So I stepped from around the locker. I said, what you just say? Oh, nothing, man. We was over here bullshitting, you know. I said, yeah, I heard you over here selling out, bullshitting. I said, well, no, what did you say about your dad? I said, you mean to tell me this man bust his ass for us to be in this federation and you denying him? Oh, no, man, I was just... Then he got cocky. Man, what? Man, this ain't none of your business, no way.
Oh, man.
And once he said that, we went for blows then.
Who
And
threw
then Brian
first?
Simmons and Kamala. No, not Kamala. Brian Simmons and Papa Shango.
Godfather.
Came back
Charles
there and
Wright.
broken up.
Charles Wright. Yep. Godfather.
That kind of segues me into another topic. You know, we were talking about minority wrestlers, and we were talking about when you were about to become the first WWE heavyweight champion of African American descent. There's a story that the reason you weren't the first champion was because in a match with Ron Simmons, who was known as Farouk at the time, he injured you. Take us back. Is that true? How was your relationship with him? How's your relationship with him now? Do you have any animosity towards him?
Yeah, he did. And during one of the matches,
The
he
kidney.
caught me and got me a nice kidney shot, and I had to go to the hospital. But that wasn't the reason why, because, I mean, Vince could have held that belt up anytime he wanted to and did it whenever he wanted to. So that wasn't the excuse. What I heard was that they had a meeting. And, you know, Sean was in their meeting because he was the head dog back then. So he was in their meetings. And Shawn Michaels said that the American people was not ready for a black champion.
Whoa.
Yeah. He said they wasn't ready for a black champion. And I guess Vince thought about it and, yeah, decided with Shawn. Because you got to remember, I was the number one draw overseas. Every place we went overseas.
The Kuwait
From
Cup.
Africa to Germany to Russia, I was number one.
I remember the
The
Kuwait
number
Cup.
one draw overseas, no matter where we went, even in Germany.
Oh, man. The Kuwaiti Cup. I remember that, man. I remember you winning that.
But didn't they say that America's not ready for a black champion? And I believe that Sean said some shit like that, because that's kind of shit he would do.
Now, there's other reports out there that, your in-ring style used to be a lot different than just brute force. You actually had a lot more athleticism with, moonsaults in your arsenal, and actually Sean had came up to you and said, hey, it doesn't look good for us smaller guys.
You got that right on the head.
That you're about 380 and a powerhouse, but can do the same movesets we can do and then some. Like, how did you feel about that? Like, when he first mentioned that to you?
Oh, and you know what? He did that when I first got there. Basically, after the first 2 or 3 months after I had been out there flipping and freaking the crowds out, and because the crowd wasn't expecting somebody that size to be doing that. And then Sean Sean called me in the office, and he said, "Well, that doesn't, look good, and it doesn't help us little guys out if you 380 and you're doing, the flips and the dives and all that. So we need you to do more big man moves, like big man moves. Get out of here." So at the time, he was a man, so I was like, "Oh, okay," I was going to do it. Please, man, I wasn't going to do that crazy bear hug shit.
How does he even bring something up like that anyways? How did he lead into that? Was he cool with you first? Hey, how you doing? All right, yeah.
Yeah, try to be cool. He
Right.
tried to be cool about it. Tell how it's a team and we got to work together as a team, and the over the diving on the ropes and the moonsaults is reserved for the smaller guys to help them get over. And if the fans see somebody, 6'3", 380 pounds doing that, it doesn't look good when the smaller guys do it. because they say, look, Tony, I can do that.
Okay, now take us from there. Did you buy into the orders?
Oh, no, man, please. I kept diving over the top ropes and everything.
There we go.
Mm-mm.
Now, going back to, what we kind of were speaking on, you said, those Ron Simmons gave you a kidney injury. Kind of talk to us about how you feel about Ron Simmons now. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's one of the African American faces they always show every February when they do their Black History Month montages as being one of their elite African American athletes. How do you feel knowing that, that's kind of, a role that you could have had, but he kind of took that out of your hands?
What's he, Ron, too? Ron was one of those guys that act like he was down with the brothers, but when you get behind closed doors, he was down with the other.
Is that why him and The Rock clicked?
Yeah. He acted like he was down with the brothers, but behind closed doors, he was down with the others. And he wasn't nowhere like the fans thought he was. They gave him the wrong gimmick. They should have switched our gimmicks. Because I was more like the Nation. And, and he was more like the good two-shoe, I love everybody type of deal. And and then that's why he got in trouble now. That's why they don't use him no more now. It's because he had a bad drug problem.
Now, do you think he could?
Bad drug problem.
Now, do you think if the roles were reversed, do you think he could have pulled off being Ahmed Johnson, the character that you made people love and brought to life? Because
no, Ron didn't have that. You never seen Ron dive over the top rope.
Nope.
Ron didn't have that athletic ability like that, man. I mean, he just didn't have that, ability where he can moonsault and do all that stuff. He couldn't do that stuff.
Oh man. Now, what did you like being more? Did you like being a heel more or a face?
Yeah, honestly, I think I would like being a heel more.
I mean, you did get some massive pops, though, when you were a face. So much to your
Yeah,
credit.
I mean, they loved me as a face, and it was cool being a face. It's just that being a heel, I could be more me.
More edgier, more... Yeah, I sense that. Yeah, man,
I didn't have to worry about offending nobody with what I really wanted to say or do.
Now, your feud with the Nation, given what the Nation stood for, how did you feel about clashing with them? That feel weird to you at all? Or was it just business as usual?
Yeah, it was just business as usual because they didn't push it like they should have. If you're going to mess with Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, but you got to be edgy. And they didn't do it. They did it more like a street gang type of deal. And that's not what, that's about. And they would have got a bigger pop out of it if they would have did it with a little more intelligence, use their brains a little more, be more Farrakhan, be more Islam.
Now, there was a point in time when you joined the Nation, did you think it was going to push towards being more edgier and more towards that Farrakhan model?
Man. Bro, I was happy. Man, I was happy. I was like, okay, now we're going to get down. But what happened was, you got to look at the the roster. It's me, Ron, Rock, Mark Henry, and Sheila Brown.
Sheila Brown.
And
wow.
you gotta look at that lineup. And if that was the real deal, like Vince said when he called us in the office, it was funny. After a few months, he called us in the office and he said, man, I'm gonna have to pull you out the Nation. And I'm like, pull me out the Nation? And he said, yeah. He said, let me show you something. And he rewind the tape. And he showed all of us coming down the ramp. And, man, you couldn't believe nobody could beat us.
No.
That was like
now, if he was
hatred
smart.
coming down there.
No, but see, if Vince was smart, he could have used that.
You couldn't believe nobody can beat us. He said, so I'm going to have to pull you back out the Nation. He said, because you're the only one that is believable that can beat the Nation. with the compliment. One guy, he kind of put me above all of them when he told me, that I was the only one that he could make believable that can beat the nation.
But see, I feel he should have kept you guys, because if looking at it, like, you guys would have been unstoppable, and that would have made a heel faction so big that everybody would have paid to see someone somehow beat you guys.
True.
And I mean,
very true.
It's a compliment on both ends, because like I enjoyed the matches. I enjoyed seeing was Mr. Mason go through a couple of Pearl River plunges.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man.
As you refer to, Shiloh Brown. Can we elaborate? Why do you call him Shiloh Brown?
Definitely want to hear this.
That's what he is.
Gotta hear that. I wrote it down in my notes.
Oh, man.
Now you're talking about an ass kisser. That boy, man. Oh my God, he just got on everybody, all their brothers' nerves.
I mean, given what you said about D'Lo, Farouk, The Rock, it sounds like they click for a specific reason here.
I'm wondering, was there any brothers back there that were keeping it, 100 and
right,
keeping it true to themselves? Was there anybody?
Really, to be
What
honest
happened?
with you, Savio Vega was about one of the only ones that kept it 100.
Not even Mark Henry?
Who?
Mark Henry.
Oh man, that was
You
enough.
mean the silverback gorilla? Hell no.
Oh.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
The silverback didn't keep it cool.
You definitely were a Lone Ranger
Wow.
then.
Kama Mustafa wasn't keeping it cool either?
All that success.
No, I would have
Karma.
thought.
Only thing with Karma was cool about everything. I mean, he didn't blend in with the other boys. He hung out with Taker and Godwin and stuff like that. He didn't blend in with Sean and all them. So on that part, I give him his props. Because if anybody was going to, be real about it, it was going to be Karma and Savio Vega.
Now, now they were part of the infamous Bone Street crew, which was him and the Undertaker. I understand you had to click. Everyone had their own little crew back then. Do you think Kama was more cool because he had been around the WWE longer? Under previously with Papa Shango, and he knew the ropes, and he was just there like, hey, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, get this check, and I'll catch y'all in the next town.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. You hit that right on the head.
Now talk to us about when you were leaving the WWE, how that came about, how your time with them finally ended, and then moving on to WCW eventually.
Well, it just, man, this stuff started, getting more and more on my nerves. I mean, the racist stuff and all the other bull that was going on is just, I just couldn't take it no more. And then they had a match set up where, do you remember that South African group?
The
Truth Commission?
Or
The Truth Commission?
Yeah,
Yep.
the Tom Commission.
Yep.
the Tom Commission? Oh.
Well, they had a match set up where they wanted me to go in the ring and us have a good match. Me beat, the guy that I was in the ring with. And then the others were going to come in there with a rope and, hang me with a rope.
What the hell?
Wow.
Go figure.
Wow. And that was the point that said, where you said,
And that's
this is
why
too
I
much.
said, I'm not doing it. And one thing you don't do, you don't tell Vince McMahon you ain't going to do something. It takes a lot of balls to say I ain't going to do it.
Man, but you never spazzed out though. Like this would have gotten under my skin. Like just over time, the building up of all these incidents, man. You never lost your cool.
That's what happened. It was the final straw. Next thing you know, I lost. So I said all kind of stuff. I can't even tell you everything I said. You know how you spaz out so bad sometimes you don't even realize you said something?
Right.
Oh, man, yeah.
Until after it's all over with, and they said, man, you called him this, and you didn't realize it.
Okay, now.
But that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Now, there was, in that moment, there's a lot of things that, people said. They said that you threatened Vince. You may even put your hands on Vince. Do you mind clarifying that, or did you just black out to the point?
I went. I just stood up and reached across the table and grabbed. I mean, I didn't cut. I mean, I didn't pull his, so I just grabbed for him.
Oh man.
But there was no, I punched him out or anything. That was, Brett did that.
Yeah, but you're a big dude. You reached over a table. I know if I see you reach over a table, I'm like, you know what?
Oh, nah, you right.
And those eyes, like I said, just the promo. I was like, all right, this ain't no promo, man.
And yeah, this is real deal.
But now, all these years later, do you think that short, obviously very heavy experience wore out your welcome? Do you think you'll ever be back as a legend under a Legends deal or something like that, or hash it out with these people?
I don't know.
Where do you think you stand?
I think he still fears me.
Vince.
Yeah, I don't think he's still. Because, dog, it's like when you do wrong and you know you did wrong. And it's not really the person you fear, it's what you did that you fear mostly. So it's not me that he's scared of, it's what he's done and what he still does to African American wrestlers that he's afraid of. And he's afraid I might still retaliate against it, which I wouldn't. I mean, that's old news. I'm not going to.
And would you welcome that opportunity, an invitation to Stamford, Connecticut, to go to HQ and to talk about differences and the hash it all out and see how you guys could move forward? Would you welcome an opportunity like that?
Oh, yeah. I would definitely welcome an opportunity to go talk about how you can advance, the black dudes in professional wrestling. So just like right now, he got what's the 3 black guys called?
The New Day.
Yeah, the New Day.
New Day.
That group.
Now, come on. Don't one of them got a doctor's degree or something?
Yeah, a couple
Xavier
of them
Woods.
do. Yeah, one of them got a doctor's
Come on,
degree.
man.
The other comes from 2 professors that
And
are parents.
he got you acting like a clown on a clown car.
Right. Right.
Now, how does that make you feel, watching that, that this is what they're showing the new generation of wrestlers are. Some people kind of spin it as they're spinning it so that, they're not making it so race-based that, having these guys do what they would have a white professional wrestler do. Or some people think, they're kind of, going back to the 60s and having us, shucking and jiving for the men. How do you feel?
I agree with that, what you said, totally. But I think it is shucking and jiving for him. And I just think that especially homeboy with that the degree, they can find something better for him. I mean, he could be like a Clarence Mason, but a wrestling Clarence Mason.
Now, if he said to you, Xavier Woods, the guy who's out there with the PhD, riding in the clown cars, if he said to you, to your face, like, hey, but I'm making money, it's okay, what would you tell him? Would that be a teaching moment, or would you say, okay, cool?
Yeah, I got some good questions here, man. Let me see.
Unsanctioned
How
Podcast.
I react.
Everything on the table.
How would I react?
What would you tell him in the moment?
In the moment, what would I tell him?
Right. He's saying, but hey, it's fine because I'm making money.
I would go back to blacks who have done something in history, like Rosa Parks and a few other people who didn't do it for the money. They did it for the outreach of the African American people. Just like I did. I mean, I could have stayed there and made that money. I could have kissed their ass, man, and stayed there and still been there making millions of dollars. But it wasn't worth it to me, man. Selling out like that, it wasn't worth it.
Now, Ahmed, there's always, in shoot interviews by other people and podcasts and stuff, you always hear various things. People always ask about you. Road Dogg Jesse James, he's on the record saying that, he was cool with you, but it came off like you were a bully at times. And so
they feared me because I didn't go out to the clubs with them. I didn't go eat when they went to go eat. I didn't run with them. And every nigga that was there did that. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't know how he said we was cool. I mean, I never hung out with him not one day.
Could have been he was being politically correct, given his position in the company and all that. Could have been that.
No, I don't know, dog. I didn't know him.
We ain't cool.
I don't know him. I don't claim him.
Now kind of segueing.
He was with that clique with Sean and him.
Now kind of segueing into, we're talking about the end of your WWE, WWF time with them. You mentioned this early on in the interview that you started off with Booker T and Stevie Ray. We all know that when you eventually moved on and went on to WCW, you became part of Harlem Heat 2000 with Stevie Ray and kind of had the feud with Booker T over the letter T. One of my most favorite angles. Kind of talk to us how it felt being back with those guys and what it was like, the culture in WCW compared to WWF.
Oh, man. Let me say it like this, guys. If I'm going to be straight up and honest about it, let's just say I'd rather take the fifth.
Oh,
that bad, huh?
I mean, we don't pull no punches. You can feel free.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna take the fifth on that.
Now, is it in regards to? I'm assuming you and Stevie and Booker are still cool, or is it just on the other side of just the WCW and their politics that you're taking the fifth on?
No, it's. Oh man, how can I say this without lying? I don't want to tell no lies. That ain't me. I'm gonna give it to you straight up. With no mixer. Let me see. Like I said, dog, just to be straight up, ghostly honest with you, it was no different than being with Ron Simmons and the rest of D'Lo Brown and the rest of them. The rest of them the sellouts.
Now, I'm sorry, just to clarify. Now, are you saying, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, as I'm saying, like, are you referring to like Stevie Ray and Booker T and WCW, like that they were like Ron Simmons and and D'Lo, or is it just the other guys that you didn't come into the business with who are in WCW?
Well, see, the thing with that is Stevie Ray just did an interview or something where he said he got me. I don't even know. I didn't even listen to the interview yet, but it sounded like he was talking a little smack. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to talk smack because he was talking smack.
No, I can clarify.
But the thing is, what I can honestly say with Booker T, he was the second most sellout I ever ran into.
Wow.
In my life. But you got to remember, he just got out of prison.
Right. So he's out of chances. So he's doing whatever he can do.
Good.
Right.
So he's going to do whatever he do. But it's like he blamed black folks for it. Man.
Now,
it's like he was blaming black folks for him being incarcerated.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, just to touch on the podcast thing with Stevie Ray, because I think what you may be alluding to and referring to is just Stevie Ray in his podcast had mentioned a match between you and Booker T, and he was stating that you guys had went over the match. You and Booker had went over the match multiple times in the back, and then all of a sudden you guys got to the ring and you had missed a spot, and it came down that he made it seem basically he said you forgot the match, the call of the match. And
what I did was the match was made set up to where Booker was going to look like a superstar, and I wasn't, so I didn't go for it. So I acted like I forgot the whole damn match. So we can go live. I've been wanting to go live with that Negro for a long time anyway.
And did Booker say anything to you in the ring during the match?
He didn't say shit to me. I wish he would have. That's what I was hoping, that he would have said something and we could just got in the ring and just got off with it and just do what we do.
So everything was normal after that, until now that Stevie Ray is commenting.
Right. I don't even know what I heard. Somebody said he said something. I don't even know what he said. Y'all would know better more than I would.
Yeah. So I mean, and basically he said that you had forgot the match, how the match was supposed to be called and how it was supposed to went, and that basically he was laughing about it. I don't think he meant any malice intent by it when he was telling the story, but he's saying like you and Booker were just basically like doing the do-si-do in the ring, and then you threw Booker out of the ring. And Stevie went over because at the time he was against his own brother, and he made it look like he was choking him, but they were both laughing because Booker said, and I quote, "This motherfucker forgot the match."
He just said, "This motherfucker don't want me, don't want to put me over."
Right. This motherfucker's about to squash me.
This motherfucker don't want to put me over.
Now, another, infamous story when it comes
if he was, if you know what, if he was a real brother, I wouldn't have mind doing the shine for him, helping him look good. But he was, man, he was making me sick to my stomach.
You know what? You know, it's real believable that you say that now, because looking at it now, he's one of the only, you know, African American legends that are still employed by WWE. You know, he's on the broadcast every week, so it kind of makes sense.
I've always seen him as a company man. Booker T is still there because he is a company man.
Come on, man. Would you let Vince come out like he did that one show and
said the N-word?
What's up, Nick?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That was in front of Booker T.
Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Did y'all see that?
Yep.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I couldn't see Vince doing that in front of you. I could not see Vince doing.
He wouldn't even ask to do that with me.
Listen.
That just shows you the difference of comfort he had with the other black guys and he had with me.
Now, I wanted to touch on.
You've never seen him disrespect me. And like I said, the things with me and Vince wasn't because he disrespected me. It was because he was disrespecting black people in general.
I wanted to touch on something real quick before we jump back into, your post WWE time. And I'm sure we're gonna touch back on it some more, more of your WWE time. But are you familiar with the Triple H Booker T WrestleMania main event and that whole storyline where they outlined Booker's past, and they had Triple H touch on Booker's past, and it really became a topic because it was a touch on race. And it was portrayed that, Booker made it seem like I'm so much better than you and that you'll never be anything because of where you're from and who you are.
Called him boy, too.
Yeah, and of course...
What?
Triple H...
No, I didn't even hear nothing about that.
Yeah, Triple H had went over in the main event, and everyone, till this day, they still say, Triple H should have lost that. He should have lost the title at WrestleMania to Booker T, just based on that whole storyline and the arc of it. And basically, I wanted to get your input, even if you're not familiar with it, just how you would feel about if someone was to take your past and your history and your tough upbringing and being from an urban neighborhood and your trials and tribulations and just highlighted them and say, you'll never beat me because of this and boy this and boy that. And then they come to you in the main event and Ahmed, we want you to lose. How would you have taken that?
First of all, there would have been no match.
You call me boy?
I can promise you that. And second of all, calling me boy and telling where I'm from, I ain't got no embarrassment where I'm from. Yeah, I'm from the streets. Ain't no secret. But I tell you what, I bet you won't walk them streets. But nah, as far as a match go and the boy thing, nah. Hell no.
So you pretty much... to succeed
I would have walked out like I walked out the last time.
To succeed in Vince's WWE, if you are a person of color, you have to remain a yes man and take all the racial belittlings the way it is.
If you and they use the wrestling thing to cover it. We don't mean nothing. This is fake. This is wrestling. We don't mean when we call you nigga, we call you boy. We don't mean that. It's just fake. It's to get over with the people, over with the crowd, to build more heat. Come on, man. You believe that bullshit?
Yeah, there's been...
I always say, you want to know if a white man's racist or not? Ask him, can you date his daughter? And see what he says.
Now, would you
have
tried
to be your best friend in the world, telling you you want to date his daughter?
That being said, did you ever have any interactions with Stephanie McMahon?
No, none whatsoever. I avoided her like the plague.
Why was that?
Why is that? She seems like
because
a nice person.
I knew how their family really felt about our people.
Mm.
There was nothing that we needed to talk about unless it was money.
What kind of role did you see? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I said outside of that, there was really, I ain't got nothing said bad about the girl because she never did anything to me. But
what kind of role did you see her playing backstage?
Back when we were doing it,
yeah. Yep.
He was basically just like he was training them. They really had no say so, from what I understand, and he was just training them to be where they are now.
One of the stories when it involves your career that we always hear about is the infamous 6-man tag team match where you teamed up with the Legion of Doom, and you wore a pair of infamous spiked Legion of Doom shoulder pads out to the ring, and the late great Hawk of the Legion of Doom apparently gifted those spikes to you, but his surviving partner Animal claims that you stole those spikes. Kind of talk to us about that.
Man, me and Animal was mad because me and Hawk, once we did that tag, that 6-man tag, we started doing, little house shows together without Animal. Because we were more of like with our athletic ability. Animal couldn't do nothing but put you on his shoulders.
True.
Doomsday
And outside
device.
of that, what have you ever seen him do that you can say was a crazy move or a good move? You ever seen him dive over the rope? You ever seen him, do moonsaults and crazy stuff like that?
No.
And me and Hawk was we were more alike with our ability. So we started doing a lot of, outside house shows. And he didn't like that. So then when you notice he didn't say this shit until Hawk died. Then all of a sudden we'll go, oh man, took his shoulder pads and man, Hawk gave me the jacket, gave me his shoulder pads. Why would Hawk, why would somebody like Hawk, a tough-ass white dude, tough white dude from Chicago, let somebody his basically same size walk up to him and steal his shoulder pads and him not do nothing about it?
I know you guys were in the same company for a while post that match too, so maybe.
Yeah. Why would he let me take his shoulder pads and not confront me about it or fight me about it or what? How'd that look, me walking up to you? Even you guys, how'd that look for me walk up to you and steal something from you and you know it's me and you're not going to front me?
Well, then what do you think his motive was in saying that then?
He was jealous that me and Hawk was doing shows without him.
So still to this day, that stings him.
Still that eats him up because he thought that they were like brothers. And Hawk, what I understand, Hawk really couldn't stand him. It's just they got into that Road Warrior gimmick so early on in their careers, and it was just going so good that they didn't want to, Hawk didn't want to break it off. But Hawk couldn't stand him, man.
Now, we have questions from some of our supporters and people who watch. One of them is Warren Bowman, and he wants to know, during your WWF times and your WCW times, like, who are the people that you rode with on the road going to, like, different venues and stuff like that?
Vader, Taker, Crush, Yoko was live, Yoko and Rikishi. And that's basically, I kept it in that little circle right there.
Another Twitter user, I don't know if yours is from Twitter, but this Twitter user here, at Joey_Slugs, wants to ask you if you have any recollections or cross paths at all from interactions with Bobby Heenan, who recently passed away, and our hearts go out to him, his family, his friends. Any interactions there with Bobby Heenan? Any stories?
No, I worked with him in WWF when I was with WCW. And to me, Bobby Heenan was the funniest manager. He was the funniest manager out there.
Oh, man.
And I know he's going to be missed.
He definitely is. Now, one of those names that you mentioned that you rode with was the Undertaker. And seeing that, it looks like his legendary career is coming to an end. Kind of talk to us about your interactions with the Undertaker. How did you feel about him? Was he one of the people? I understand you rode with him, but was he one of the people that was a stand-up guy in the locker room, or was he one of the people that was talking behind people's back?
And he took that finisher, okay, the plunge.
Huh?
He took that plunge, all right.
Yeah, he took it real good, didn't he? Taker, dog. Taker is. The reason I got along with Taker was because Taker is Taker. He was more like me in a white-skinned version. He didn't play. He wasn't scared of nobody, including me. And that's why I think we got along, because he didn't fear me. He didn't fear my skin color. And he was who he was. He was Taker, and, he was Mark, and Mark was Mark.
And do you think that kind of lends to why he was able to be in the business for so long and have such a name? Is because he was always true to himself and, you know what I mean, not one of the fake ones?
Yeah, he's real quiet, man. You know, when he's around Vince and the rest of the guys, and being that they had already put the crown on him too. I mean, they treated him real good.
Here's another question from a Twitter user at I love MMA so bad. He's asking, what's one of the worst things, or what are some of the bad things that people in the crowd have yelled at you?
Let me see. I don't even recall anybody ever using the N-word.
Any funny moments is also another part of the question.
And from the crowd?
From the crowd, yeah, crowd interactions, fans.
Not really.
So you were just showered with love.
Not really. That's what I said. You know what's funny? That's when I got hired. You know, they never told me if I was going to be a heel or babyface. Vince just said, go out there and wrestle. And he never made me a heel or a babyface. He let the crowd decide.
Wow.
That's kind of nice.
And they say they weren't ready for a black champion yet.
Yeah. And here they are. I'll come out there. I'm not smiling. I'm mean. You know, as mean as shit, you know, in my gimmick. I'm not smiling. I'm not kissing babies. And the crowd, the white crowd, still loved me enough till they made me a baby face.
Oh, man.
Now, I kind of have an off-wrestling question for you. This might be personal. It's a personal question of mine because it's one of my favorite TV movies of all time. You played Suge Knight in the MC. Was it the MC Hammer movie?
MC Hammer.
Kind of talk to us about that. How you got approached with that role. How it was playing Suge Knight. You know, one of the most infamous characters in all of hip hop culture. You know, how was it? How was it being involved with that project?
It was I had matched them once with Yoko and Keisha and them.
Suge Knight and Tupac.
And Suge is there, and we talked about it, and then I didn't know. I did somebody I worked for Hammer a few times, and I didn't know that Hammer was the one who started Death Row. And they kept saying how big, you look like shit, nigga, like Suge, honey, like Suge, honey. And then Hammer said he was doing a movie, and he would give me a call. He took my number down, man, and you know it was like 2 years later. He still had my number, and he gave me a call, man. I think would I play Suge.
Wow.
So,
MC Hammer himself asked you to be involved with that project.
Yeah, Hammer did.
Wow.
Now, I knew MC Hammer had some reach, like, and you always hear the stories about MC searching third base and how they was in the air, and Hammer had put the hit out on them and everything else. But I didn't know he was behind Death Row as well as with Suge and Dre. I didn't know he was a silent
Brother,
partner.
Hammer is the one who started Death Row. He's the one that came up with the name. He's the one that gave him the money to start it.
Wow.
He gave Suge the money to start it and everything. Nobody knows that.
Wow.
But yeah, Hammer started Death Row, man. Not Suge.
Wow. Some real scoops on the Unsanctioned Podcast today.
You can't touch this.
Yeah.
You can't touch this.
Wow. So
Yeah, Suge was just the backup man. But then it got to the point where Hammer was so busy doing his thing until Suge, you know, basically took it over and was doing his thing. But no, he didn't start it.
Wow.
Hammer started it, financed it, started it, and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, Hammer got a reach. Don't let him fool you.
Oh yeah, I've heard the stories, man. I've heard the stories.
Listen to the song. The song's real. You say you can't touch this.
I've heard stories even to this day where certain rappers will be like, you know, if they reference him on Twitter or something, he'll give him a call and he'll be like, hey, and they be like, they give him his props. Like, you know, they may laugh like MC Hammer's a G, and they be like, don't mess with Hammer. But I had another.
The Godfather.
Yeah, I had another question, and to me, I laugh at this story. The Jay Leno story.
With Owen.
Yeah, man. I still crack up about it when I hear about it. Yeah,
You
mind
got
just
me
sharing that
good
with
on
our
that
fans?
one,
I'm still waiting on that appearance. What are you going on, man?
What you going on, Leno?
He got me good on that one.
Yeah, do you get like? I mean, I know it's everyone has a lot of stories about Owen, but do you care of this sharing like about, I mean, some stories, of course, some ribbings that, Owen and Davey Boy did, but as well as just you guys' relationship with the Hearts and everything.
No, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah, so if just tell us about, the nature of your friendship with the Hearts in general, and if you just want to share some stories, that'd be great.
First of all, I don't even know how we got to the point we got, when we were friends like we were with Owen and them. But I remember after he did that Jay Leno appearance, Brett came up to me and Brett said, "Ahmed, let me tell you something." He said, "First of all, Owen don't rib people he don't like. If Owen's ribbing you, it's because he likes you." He said, "Look at the locker room and see how many people he ribbed. He ribs the same people over and over because that's the people he likes." And they got me real good. And one time when I first got there, I mean, I was fresh. In the ring, I'm nervous. I don't know what's going on. I'm doing what I do. And all of a sudden, halfway during our match, my music came on. And I'm like, oh, shit, they're telling me to take it home. It's over,
Yeah.
They're telling me to go ahead and take it home because, my music's playing, so that means they don't like it. Dog, I was so upset, man, and heartbroken. So we took it home. And when it got to the back locker room, Mike Rotunda was the boss back then.
The IRS?
The agent.
Mike Rotunda, IRS?
Yeah, IRS.
It's daddy.
He was an agent back then, and man, we got back there, he was like, "Who in the fuck cut that music on? Who in the And then you look at the music thing, like upstairs. Who you think was coming down from there?
Owen and Davey.
Owen and Davey. And Mike trying to like, I'm telling you, fucker, you're in trouble. You just fucked up a match. I'm telling Dick Vince when we get back, and going off, and no one saying it wasn't me, it was Davey. And Davey say, no, it wasn't me, it was Owen. And then they're going back and forth about who it was, man. And one time I had this girl that I was going to get engaged to, and I had never met her parents, and I was going to meet her parents for the first time in Chicago, and so I got them, box seats and everything, doing how we do it, and after the match, I go back to get my clothes on, and it smelled like dog doo-doo on my clothes.
Oh man.
Dog, it smelled like pure dog doo-doo. What happened was they took them stink bombs, and they smashed them on my clothes, because they knew I was going to meet what I thought was going to be my mother and father-in-law. And, man, I had to go up, dog. I went up there, man, smelling like 10 bags of dog doo-doo.
So you put the clothes on?
He had no choice, man.
I would have gone to my gear.
Huh?
I would have gone to my gear. No shame. Let them know what you rocking with.
Yeah, I didn't want to go up there with my dick all out in front of mother-in-law's face. Father-in-law might not appreciate that too much.
I'm Ahmed Johnson in the red trunks. That's how you do it.
No, shake my hand.
So I had brought a nice outfit too, man. Them boys, I'm like, I'll be damned.
Man.
And I come back to the locker room after I got done, and I'm like, I know y'all did that, and they just laughing their ass off.
So tell me this, not to go back to Vince, but I kind of have to. Why did Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith mess with you, and Vince didn't? You know what I mean? Like, these guys could make you smell like shit, ruin your clothes, send you fake limos or whatever. But Vince was afraid of you. What kinds of differences are there in those relationships? What happened? Why couldn't you get to that point with Vince? I don't get it.
I never thought about that, dog, but just you saying it, I think it has a lot to do with a man's intention. If I'm talking to you, but I'm really interested in your girlfriend, there's going to be certain things that I'm going to do with you and certain things that I'm not, and I'm going to act a funny way, okay? I think it had a lot to do with his intention. His intention was to screw over a black man. He knew it. He knew it, but he was scared of me. But he knew that was he didn't like black people. Owen and Davey didn't give a shit about if you were black, green, or white. They didn't care.
So how was I understand like Davey and Owen was cool with you. What about Brett?
Brett was cool. Well, he's married to a sister now,
Yeah.
and he's always been cool, man, with the brothers, man. Always.
I mean,
Brett's always been a good dude, man. With me, always.
now, who's the most? I don't want to say influential, but who's the person who helped you out the most in your WWE tenure and your short WCW tenure?
When I first got to WWF, when I first got there, Razor Ramon was the one that helped me out a lot.
Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys still converse at all, or?
No, I don't really not too many. I talk to Kishi every now and then, and Savio. Just kids, same ones I dealt with then, and the same ones I deal with now.
If you saw Scott Hall today, would it be all love?
For me, it would be.
Would he have any hesitations, do you think? You think people are in his ear over the years?
No, I don't think he would. I mean, Scott knew what the deal was. 'Cause, I mean, here is Scott Hall. Here you got a wrestler who killed somebody, and he had to, I'm sure he went through hell with fans and stuff.
Right.
Now, what about
But,
Kevin Nash? How were your interactions with him?
Kevin was cool. We didn't, hang out buddies or nothing, but we were cordial with each other.
Going back to in the beginning of this episode, you mentioned that Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels were seen back in the area of your car where something racist was written. Would you put it past them to do something like that?
Oh, hell no.
Really? It's just like, to me,
Oh,
it's
hell
shocking.
no.
Like being in 2017, like Stone Cold now, for example, is like a big advocate for, well, not a huge advocate, but he's okay with gay marriage and things of that nature. So it's like,
Man, you got to
it's
remember,
shocking.
he beat Diane up because she was watching BET.
Wow.
I mean, what did I tell you when he beat her up real bad and the police had come out there?
Mm-hmm.
And
We're
the
talking about
reason
Deborah?
he jumped on,
Deborah McMichael?
yeah.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Deborah.
So he jumped on, I don't know if you knew that, but he jumped on Deborah and beat her up real bad.
For watching
Yeah,
BET.
And went to jail. And Deborah said that the reason that he jumped on her was because when he came in the house, she was watching BT, and he's like, "What are you watching them niggas for? What are you watching them niggas for? You want one of them niggas, then go get them." And beat her ass, chipped her tooth, broke her rib.
Man, you're saying this to me, and it's kind of like, it shouldn't be surprising knowing where he's from and, the kind of persona he pushed on. But it is just, watching it growing up, he was kind of the man, but it doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't surprise me at all.
You were in the Attitude Era. You was with probably the very first, how can I say, pinup girls of WWE, Sunny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I know where you're going with.
So, how was that interaction with you two? And we always.
I don't know where that came from. I never touched Sonny. Never touched her.
You were one of the few that never did, huh?
Yeah, one of the few that never did.
No Sunny days.
I never touched her.
Well, how was she?
Like that time I told her, the time we did that interview and she was rubbing on me and rubbing my chest, and then I told her, I said, Sonny, I said, my mama told me taught me a lesson before she died. She told me always take the trash out, never bring it in.
Oh.
And that was, it, and that was off the dome. I mean, that's what I feel about.
Was that a little bit of a shoot interview inside the real interview?
Yeah, I was shooting. That's why I said, Mama said, always take the trash out, never bring it in. And then I got back to the locker room. Everybody was, oh my God, ooh, that was cold. Yeah, it was meant to be.
How did that change the dynamic of your guys' working relationship?
Oh, she didn't speak to me after that, boy. She didn't hear me after that. But she was another one that was really racist.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
That's why I stepped on her like I did.
Now, we like to play at times bookers. Just wrestling bookers, and I always wondered, like, if you could set like your ideal top 3 matches between you and any superstar that you haven't or even had, in any type of match, like, who would it be, and what type of matches would it be?
since that match between me and Taker would have took place, I love wrestling Vader because he was a brutal one, man. He was one that he's a shooter and you can shoot back on him and he didn't cry about it. And my third match right now would be I would love to wrestle Brock Lesnar.
Okay, now let's tackle that one.
Luis was excited. He was waiting for it. He was waiting. He seen it coming a mile away.
If you didn't say Brock Lesnar, I was gonna say it. And this is what I want from you. Take me through the match between Ahmed Johnson in his prime and Brock Lesnar in 2017. What would that match look like from start to finish?
Probably would have started out a little gentle, and then it got to the point where one of us would have felt disrespected, and it would have turned out to be a pretty real match where all the referees come down and the boys. I think it would have got real.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like storyline-wise in the match.
No.
Oh, you mean for real, for real?
Yeah, I think it would have got real fast.
Wow.
It would have started out with storyline, but I think it would have got to the point where shooting would have took place.
Just because of like the stiff, brawling nature?
Yeah, and our attitudes.
So you don't think you guys would have coexisted in the ring?
Two alphas.
Now, it would have been a good match for y'all to watch, but no. I don't
To be in.
think we would have been buddies or nothing. That's how it was with Vader, man. Me and Vader was, man, you talking about a shooter. Man, I mean, I used to love wrestling Vader, man.
Now,
Love wrestling because we shot on each other, but with respect.
now,
You know what I'm saying? We didn't try to kill each other.
now, how do you feel about the style of strong style in Japan compared to what's experienced here in the U.S.? I mean,
I trained in Japan for a whole year.
yeah, I've seen a couple of your matches. You had the all black pants on in
Mm-hmm.
one of them. Which is why I
Yeah.
posed the question, because I figured you were more suited for strong style and New Japan and everything, and so I wanted to know, like, I mean, even with the not so much a compare and comparison, but just how much more excitement and how much, like, what was the feel for you wrestling in Japan compared to stateside?
I liked it because you didn't have to worry about whether they were cheering for your skin color. They were cheering for your style and whether they liked, your style or not. Because, I mean, it was, in Japan, it's so weird. Like, the people, they are quiet, like, during the whole match. And if they do something, they'll clap, like, 2 times. And then they're quiet. But when I was in the ring, bro, they were on their feet. They were, I mean, the whole time you could hear noise, which is, Nakazaki told me, it was very unusual.
Do you still, like, touch base with people over there in Japan, or do you even watch the product of New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is starting to migrate to the U.S.?
Yeah, I watch it with JR. Yeah.
So you do watch
That
wrestling.
one I do watch.
You do watch wrestling. Okay. So you watch NJPW. Any others?
No, that's the only one that I watched.
Yeah. And why do you still feel connected to them?
Because their style is more brutal. And, like, when they hit, bro, they be hitting.
Yeah.
They ain't pulling no punches.
So do they treat you good backstage and management and all that?
Yeah,
It was
real
just night
good,
and day,
man.
huh, from WWE?
Night and day.
Now, who do you feel in watching that brand? Because recently in Pro Wrestling 500, Kazuchi Okada was named the #1 wrestler of this year. And just being the New Japan Heavyweight Champion and his classic 6-star rating matches with Kenny Omega. I just feel like New Japan has come a long way on this side.
It is. It's growing.
It's growing. So I mean, with you watching the product somewhat, and just keeping tabs on it. Like, what do you feel? How do you perceive them making leaps and bounds in WWE's, I guess you could say, market in the U.S.? Do you think it's possible where they could become a real competitor, or is it just something where it's going to just be an alternative to what WWE currently has?
They could become a competitor, but Vince is not going to allow it. He won't allow it. And he has too much pull with the TV stations down here now. And he was going to do his best not to allow it. But he knows it's watching them, it's like going back watching a little bit of ECW.
I never thought about that.
And he's not going to allow it.
Never thought about it that way. It does suit kind of somewhat the ECW style as far as the shoot hits, not so much the hardcore stuff. But
Right.
Wow.
And people want to see that style of wrestling now, but because of UFC, they're getting used to the real shit, and WWF is starting to look more gay as it goes on. They're looking worse and worse and worse.
Which is probably because
And
they don't have competition yet.
right, but Vince wants to do that soap opera type stuff now, man.
You gotta look at the whole.
He wants to get into the TV business, the show business, the movie business now. Now, they're doing movies and all that stuff. He's losing his grip on wrestling like he had. People want the Attitude Era, man.
Now, do you feel?
I mean, think about it. What would you want to see? You want to see what they got, the product they have now, or would you want to go back to the Attitude Era where guys really got in there and it was really nasty?
Well, I think it's like everyone wants the Attitude Era, but do you feel it's the networks coming towards Vince, like, hey, soften up the product, or do you think Vince is just doing that on his own accord?
No, I think Vince is on accord, as I said, because he's getting involved with these movies.
Do you want closure with Vince?
Do I want closure with him?
Yeah.
As a man, I would want closure with any man. If I can get closure or peace with any man, I would want that. As a man and as a Christian, I would want that.
Yeah.
But as far as me, kissing your behind to get it, no, that ain't even gonna happen.
I have a question, and I think a lot of people want to know: do you feel Ahmed Johnson should be in the WWE Hall of Fame, especially just with the credentials that you had in such a short time while you were there?
Oh yeah, just being the first single, black champion, there's no way it shouldn't be.
Right, that alone.
I mean, that alone puts you in the Hall of Fame.
Now, who would you have induct you? Who would you have induct you?
I would probably prefer Savio Vega, or Rikishi.
Who do you think they would want to induct you?
The New Day.
The New Day.
The New Day. Big E.
Yeah, New Day, somebody silly.
Now, I think they probably would go with Rikishi since he is in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's on good terms with him, too.
His boys are, his sons are definitely, making a name for themselves on the tag team scene now as well. So
now I'd love to ask about Rikishi. Is he someone who you can have some deep conversation with and talk through, the struggles, the challenges, the good times that you've had in your career? Is he someone you've been able to lean on?
Oh, yeah. Kishi's a man you can have a good conversation with. Because
he's someone, okay, you're good with him, you're cool with him, and he's also cool with that other side. He's great with WWE. Like Jay just said, his sons are doing a phenomenal job over there and having tremendous success. Is he able to mediate something between you guys? How does he play middleman?
Or has it been a conversation with you and Rikishi?
Right. Has he brought anything up of that nature? Which would be great to
No,
see.
and let's be honest about it. If it comes down between me and WWF, he's going to take WWF because he pays his bills.
Right. Understandable.
So, yeah, exactly. And I understand that. I mean, if it comes down to that, he's going to, sell out with them, 9 times out of 10. And I understand that. And, you would be a fool to think that they're paying this man's bills and he's not going to side with them. Because everybody's not like me. Everybody's not going to just say what's on their mind and, speak like that.
Talking about the WWE Hall of Fame and, the fact that you should definitely be inducted and be included as, a Hall of Famer. Kind of talk to me about what you think seeing people like, Coco Beware. No disrespect to Coco Beware, but, he wasn't the most influential person. But Coco Beware being inducted and people of that ilk being inducted before you.
I got no problem because, I was considered the trouble nigga. I was that nigga that wouldn't get with the program, and so I was considered trouble. Y'all know how it goes. If you don't get with the program, their program, you're considered that trouble black dude. Although you've done nothing wrong, you think like you bullying or stealing, money from them or bullying them or doing anything wrong. It's just that you don't want to obey massa. So being that you don't want to obey masters like in the slave days, you're now that trouble nigga. You that the Django nigga.
The Django.
Unchained though, you're unchained.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
And that's what that's all about.
now, I remember listening to just a snippet of an interview with Teddy Long, and Teddy had
And
mentioned.
that bitch.
I couldn't even get it out. So
Man, I don't even. First of all, I don't even know this punk motherfucker. Ain't never met him once in my life. Never ever been in the same room with this fool. And I said, boy, if I ever, and I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you right now straight up, if I ever see him, because he calls himself going around with churches and being Christian, I swear to God, if he ever comes up in Houston, I'm giving you my word. It's like I'm giving you word on everything else. I'm going to that church, wherever he is, and I'm going to go up to him and I'm going to slap him in the fucking face.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
And I mean that with all my heart.
Oh man, like he elderly.
He's gonna be more elderly when I get done with him.
Like
I'm kick his ass out of the wheelchair.
He gonna bust out that dance.
Nah, he dance, but I'm ain't gonna have him with a seizure. We don't need that, man.
I'm gonna go slap his ass, or I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna dump him out of the wheelchair.
Careful, he'll put you in a 6-man tag team match.
Tag team match player.
Shut up. No, that nigga don't even know me. See, that's what I'm talking about. And you can find a nigga to sell out to anything. You can always find a nigga to sell out.
I mean,
you don't even know me. You've never even been in the same room we never even been in the same state together. But you got an opinion on me.
Yeah, he called you an idiot. He said, "Yeah."
Please tell me how you have an opinion on me and you don't even know me, or we never been in the same state together.
So having this platform here, what would you say to Teddy Long?
I don't think he's gonna talk at all. I think you're gonna hear what did
you
the
could
5
find some
fingers say
words
to the face
on this
Smack.
episode. Before you find him at his church, what would you say to him today?
I told you, ain't gonna be no talking.
Yeah, when I get to his church, tell him that when I do find him, and if it's at his church, tell him be prayed up.
As a Christian, will you expect for him to turn the other cheek?
Turn it for him.
As a Christian, I'm going to have to just pray to God and tell God, I'm sorry,
man.
I'm sorry.
but I'm sending you somebody.
Oh shit! My bad.
I'm gonna send you this nigga postmark.
Oh, Teddy Long.
Man, that nigga, I stomped the dog shit out that nigga.
Oh man,
Teddy Long.
So is there any truth to his secondhand account story about there was you guys were driving on the road. He wasn't in the vehicle, but you was in the vehicle riding on the road with some of the guys. You guys spotted a police car with a headlight out. You turned around, followed the police car, got up to the officer and was like, "Hey, you have a headlight out." I guess they was trying to say you was trying to be in an asshole kind of way, like, "Hey, you got a headlight out, you need to fix that," and you try to do like a citizen's pullover, I guess you could say. Is there any truth to that?
I pulled you damn right I did. I said, "This boy will pull me over."
Right.
They would do it to me.
Right.
If I didn't have a headlight, so he ain't got a headlight, so I'm gonna do it to him. And so I got out the car and walked to his car. And he's like, "Can I help you?" I was like, "No, you can help yourself." I said, "Your headlight's out." And I would hate for you to have to, have an accident and not make it home, or somebody else not make it home because they can't see your headlights. And he was cool about it, man.
Did he laugh?
No, he didn't laugh. He was a white officer. He got out, looked at his headlight, and he said, "Thank you, man." He said, "I'll get that taken care of."
Oh, see, now, of course, the way they try to portray it was like you was like, "Hey, watch this." You know what I mean? And you try to be an asshole about it. But it seemed like coming from you was just like, "Hey, let me make you aware of what's going on with your headlight," type thing.
Because first of all, the reason I did it, dog, I got my brother's chief of police, okay, in Fort Pierce, Florida. On top of that, I got another son in law enforcement in Atlanta, Georgia, and another one in Orlando, Florida. So I got shitloads of officers in my family. But on this, and then Uncle Spade and Auntie Rita both work for the FBI.
So you was squatted up.
So yeah, so I got no problem with helping also, but don't get me wrong. If you read my Facebook post, you would think I hate cops because I write bad shit when they
you call them
shoot
out
on black men and stuff like that. That shit pissed me off.
Yeah, you call them out just
and
like
I will write.
Yeah, you call them out just like we call them out.
You did your thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I called my even stronger. I said, one thing I said, I think that when officers do that, you should find their family members and make them pay for it. And everybody thought that was, oh my God, I can't believe he said that.
Now, Jim Cornette, you guys cross paths in WWF. Tell me your thoughts on him, because he also was kind of opinionated on your work, your in-ring work, and
he's just racist. He got mad one time because a Master Me Invader hat. I had to snatch him in the ring, and he gonna tell me before we did the gimmick, just don't fool me. I'll just flip myself in. Nigga, you crazy? I'm finna yank your racist ass through the bottom of this floor.
You in that tennis racket.
Yeah. So when it happened, he got mad. I got back his jacket. I pulled that rope and I yanked him, man. Every time I looked back, he was like in the middle of the ring. I'm like, well, damn, I didn't mean yanking that hard. I mean, I wanted to yank him, but I didn't want to yank his shit off. Man, he's a shooter. He tried to hurt me. And shut up. Just business. You can't handle the blows. Just stay off the business.
We definitely want to find out, like, if you have anything to share with young up and coming wrestlers that are currently in the business, what would be your message to them?
My message to them would be black or white. Is I understand, you make it all the way to the top, which is WWE. There's gonna be some selling out. Don't do it like I did it. If you can't afford to do it like I did it, then don't do it like I did it. Do what you feel like you gotta do. Don't, talk to me anymore, but do what you gotta do. But as far as, training, just, work your butt off. And nowadays, more so than working on your wrestling, work on your acting skills, because it's transferring from that, from the WWE. It's transferring from not so much of the wrestling, but more of the acting skills. With all this, diva stuff, all this TV stuff they got on and stuff. I don't know if they're looking for actors now or professional wrestlers.
Definitely wanted to thank you for your time. This is, honestly, we can be real, this is the longest interview that we've allowed to happen on this podcast. and honestly, I'm looking at the time, and it's like
that flew.
It flew by. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, we've been on for a good 50 minutes, and it's almost going on 2 hours.
Oh, sure did. I didn't look at the clock. I didn't know either.
No, we appreciate it. It flew by. All the knowledge, all the insight, all the honesty is something you can't replace. You can't teach that. So thank you for that.
You're welcome, bro.
Really appreciate it, especially as the three of us watched you growing up. So
absolutely followed you. You are absolutely a legend. So it's an honor to be able to share the airwaves with you. So thank you so much.
And an inspiration. And of course, you're always welcome. To call in and be a guest or even contributor. And if you're ever up in the Northeast region, hey, if we can get you in for a live episode,
right? You're always welcome back. We got a home with the Unsanctioned Podcast. Again?
We're out in Boston.
We're in Boston,
Boston, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, y'all Patriot fans, huh?
Sure
You
are.
already know it. You already know.
Yeah,
we was Julia will tell you, man. Last Super Bowl, everyone kind of had their head down. I was like, it ain't over yet.
It's not over till it's over. You see what happened.
Patriots fans, and we're
Definitely
coming.
wasn't over.
Oh no.
Just a quick question: are you a Texans fan?
I was until Sunday.
Okay. Because I was gonna say it's probably not gonna look too good for you this coming Sunday.
Yeah, this year ain't gonna look good for Texas.
Oh man, you got a promising QB in Deshaun Watson, so that's a start. Bill O'Brien is off the Belichick lineage.
We just need a line, man. We just need an offensive line.
Yeah, man. And Arian Foster to come back and be healthy. Out of retirement. But who is your team, man? I know you latched on to the Cowboys for a little bit back in your day, and who is your team?
Who would you think it would be?
Honestly, I would say the Steelers.
Close.
Or the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Yeah, it's one of the other. It's one of the two.
There it
It's
is.
one of the two.
No.
The Raiders. My brothers are all Steelers fans. All three of my brothers are Steelers fans.
Yeah, so the Raiders. What attracted you to the black and silver, man? This
Beast mode.
You know it.
Skittles life, baby.
Well, like we said, man, it's definitely an honor and a privilege to speak with you. You're always welcomed.
Right. Hit us up when you're in Boston for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Link up.
Yeah, I sure will, man.
Thank you. The Ahmed Johnson, man. The dude I used to be in WWF Warzone on PS1, baby.
bump that in your house. WWE in your
In
house.
your house, yeah.
In your house?
With
Nah,
man.
this Warzone was better. But I'm Luis Vasquez.
I'm Jae Holland. You can find me at JO City, JAYOCITY, across all platforms.
I'm Julio Jeune. You can find me on the next episode of the Unsanctioned Podcast.
Hopefully. And you can find me on Twitter at Luis Vasquez617. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. Unsanctioned Podcast, where everything is on the table.
You already know, man. This is Unsanctioned. We are now sanctioned, signing off from your airwaves. Let's go.